Iron is so important to health because physiologically it's needed for lots of different mechanisms in the body.
On functional front, it reduces brain capacity, it reduces learning capacity, it reduces productivity, and eventually it reduces the country's growth and development. So unless we address this vitamin mineral deficiencies problem, the countries cannot reach their developmental goals.
Our main questions were really, if they consume this biofortified pearl millet, can we increase their iron status and can we improve their cognitive functioning? Something like biofortification, I think, really holds promise, because if you're really targeting a staple food crop for that population, then we're not asking them to change any kind of behavior, and yet by just doing what they do on a daily basis, we can start to get more micronutrients into their diet. In this study, we were able to show that consuming the biofortified pearl millet did in fact improve their iron status, so that was kind of step number one, to show that it can work. And then in the second step, looking at cognitive functioning, we found that the adolescents who consumed the biofortified pearl millet had greater improvements in aspects of attention and in aspects of memory when compared to the children who consumed the standard pearl millet.
What's encouraging about these findings is that we, in a relatively short period, using a food-based intervention, show measurable improvements in cognitive outcomes that could translate into better school performance or benefits to everyday life.
It's an important age group to study because their own brain is still developing, and so it may be more susceptible to the effects of iron deficiency. But the other thing to remember is that in many countries, a lot of these, what we consider, adolescents, young girls, are actually going to be married pretty soon, and they're going to start to have children. And so we start to think about kind of the intergenerational effect of something like biofortification and whether or not that can improve this young girl's iron status, allow her to then enter pregnancy with a better iron status than she would have otherwise. That will then be conferred to the child, and the cycle really will continue in hopefully a real positive way.
We've done a lot of research in iron interventions and effects on biomarkers, and by adding these measures like cognitive function and brain function, as well as some others that we've studied with physical activity, physical performance, productivity, we're really looking at practical outcomes that could benefit from the intervention. And I think that's important because when you think about how you're going to promote an intervention like biofortification, it's not going to be identified as an important intervention just by showing that you've reduced iron deficiency rates by 50% or you've increased hemoglobin by a certain amount. You really have to demonstrate that that means something to the population that's being a target of the intervention.
What's new about our study in adolescents is that we've used computerized tests of cognitive functions like memory and attention that are sensitive enough to respond to changes in iron status. Normally we do tests such as intelligence tests that may not actually change over time, but with these tests we're measuring reaction times in milliseconds, so this is very sensitive. We can detect small changes in what's happening at the brain level that may be due to increased consumption of iron-rich crops.
And they may be laboratory test measures of cognition, but they're linked to very practical things like memory and attention that are essential for people to function in the real world. So I think when you get to the policymakers who might use this information, they now, I think, have much better tools to do the kinds of benefit-cost analysis to evaluate the intervention than they would have had prior to this.
I look at biofortification as a connector. It connects nutrition with agriculture, and it connects with the poor, the smallholders. So I see a huge potential because the agricultural ministries will be very interested when they will find what opportunities biofortification has in terms of improving nutrition status, thereby reducing poverty, which is ultimately linked to the country's overall development.